Welcome to the Jeremiah Show, proudly presenting the Hollywood Film Composer Series with executive producer Carol Connors. And today we're featuring Cyril Morin. Cyril Morin is an internationally acclaimed composer whose music has bridged cultures and continents. He's a classically trained musician who studied at the Paris Conservatoire, and he's built his career scoring films that explore our human connection, our humanity and identity with musical and emotional clarity. Some of his credits include award-winning dramas such as the Syrian Bride and Zaytoun and the visually immersive film Samsara. His work seamlessly blends orchestral composition with world instrumentation. He's given us this powerful and thoughtful scores. They are intimate, they're culturally resonant, and beyond composing, Cyril has expanded his creativity into directing and writing, including the documentary The Activist, which reflects the same humanitarian themes that define his music scores. Throughout his career, Cyril has used his music artistry as a spiritual bridge connecting worlds. He's a member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Scientists, and he's got a list of awards that I couldn't fit into this show. The list goes on and on. Maybe we'll talk about a few of those awards. Welcome, Cyril.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for this introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you for being here today. If I had to look for a theme in your life's work, I think I see a pattern, and let me know if this is a fair assessment that I've noticed. You pursue, it's a worthy pursuit, but you pursue, it feels like, connecting, the goal of connecting humanity through your musical notes and your written compositions and your filmmaking. And you've got this overall message, I think, of love. Would that be a fair assessment of a theme of your work?
Well, I like what you say. It's exactly that. The thing when you start working and doing some film score, you have no idea. You don't have the subconscious who tell you, or supraconscious who tell you, oh, that's what you're doing now. It took me a very long time to understand what I was doing. And after so many movies, I realized I was working with many different cultures. I was working all over the world, really all over the world, and it was amazing to see that all this culture was coming in my studio, no matter what. I didn't do anything for that. I didn't plan anything. It came like this. So I work for directors in India, in North Africa, South America, Asia, China, etc., and of course in Europe and in the States. But most of the time, I have a phone call from a director I don't know and say, "Oh, I listened to this and this and this. I want to work with you." And often they say, since a very, very long time, and I really appreciate that. But I think it's very important what you say, that's a human connection, and what you can bring to the world through a movie, a music, or everything you can do as a creator is very important. And especially when, sometimes we live in a world of tension. And it's very important that as an artist, we can create bridges, we can bring new culture, and we can I think, create bridges. And I always felt I wasn't, I would say, I wasn't able to do ethnical music. real music from one place in the world that only people who live there should do.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say, no, I can't do this traditional song. I can't do this traditional music. I can do only my music. But I study every culture, music culture, enough to bring a little piece on the top of my own music that everybody will take for a local music and a local composer. So I think the bridges is very important for me, and I always refuse to do music that is not in my roots, but I always work to create a bridge between another culture and my Western culture. And I realized this the first time I went to the Toronto Film Festival a long time ago, and I saw, this is a movie about a small remote place in India, and I'm in Toronto in the room, and everybody liked it. And I think one of the reasons is because the music is the bridge. The story, the character can be very far from us. But if you're in a theater in Toronto or anywhere in the world, and suddenly the music is there to connect the people to the subject,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that because I say, oh, music is fantastic, music is amazing, we can do it's I notice that because I work so many times with a very remote subjects, with a remote actors, and that suddenly I could see how it could tell something to any audience in the world. And I'm sure the music is part of this, and I'm sure this is why people still call me.
Yeah. That is true. I'm sure that the music is a big part of it. I think that I feel like from what I know of you, listening to your music, watching the films, watching the scoring, reading your writing, your documentary, there's that theme that I mentioned. There's that empathy that you have that is also an ingredient. You couldn't. You talk about being remote in Toronto and the characters in India or the actor maybe in another country, but culturally you connect. And how do you do that? You have to have that, I think, that empathy within you to connect and understand different stories from different people in different regions of the world to make it work. The music is one thing, but I think you're a big part of that ingredient and making what makes your scores, your film scores and your music so powerful is that you get that. And not a lot of people do. Have you always, you feel like a deep person to me, a thoughtful person. Have you always felt deeply?
Yeah, first of all, thank you because you described you put words on a lot of things I feel, and I think I was always interested in be live with great human beings,
Mm-hmm.
and I would even say work is secondary. Why I born with great composer, let's say in LA or around the world, is because it's on we born on the human level first, and then we can talk about music, and with the director is the same. I'm afraid I refuse some work many times, um, because I didn't feel the subject, or
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to work with a film who was too violent for no reason for 3 months or 4 months. It happened. And I also didn't want to work with movies who didn't reflect not my political view, but my vision of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Samsara was the first feature film I did 25 years ago, and it happened, and it's a very spiritual film. and I realized that I was going into it, and also for a reason, is because I was fortunate to learn with a great conductor, and one of them I follow a little bit was named Sergei Chelibidak. There is a movie from his son who's going to be released soon called The Yellow Tide. And Sergei Chelibidak is probably one of the biggest conductor of the 20th century. He is not famous because he always refused to record. It was only live. But the conductor I met, they had a master in India. There's someone they were following in India. So I read very early about all those people, because all those master, because also, for example, Yehudi Menuhin, who was a violin player, he worked on yoga, he worked on his mind, and I'm sure that if you work on your mind, you can push the limits, and whatever it is, but you can push the limits. And I'm very interested in people in general. And I don't want to look like, oh, I'm a good guy. No, I'm not a good guy. Let's say that. I just that's the way I behave, and I like to be with my friend, and I like to be with the people I meet. It's this deepness you mentioned. It's something very important in my daily life.
Yeah, you did a great job there, because it's hard to evaluate yourself with humility, right? But you did a great job, I think,
Thank you. But
explaining who you are.
if I may take time to understand what you're doing, and the way I learned what I was doing is thanks when I started to direct a few movies. It forced me to understand what I was doing, also as a composer, and that's where I learned. I wouldn't be able to talk about what I was doing 25 years ago. It wouldn't be possible. So I think it's a kind of a maturity,
Comes through experience and through living and through creating, right? Right. We start to slowly really realize who we are, and then usually it's too late. but
there is
it's over. but it's really great that you've had these I guess these thoughts and these realizations about what you want. And I love your conviction about choosing the projects that you work. You just won't take anything. And I think a lot of musicians, especially in this world, in the Hollywood world, you get these projects offered, and maybe they don't align with your convictions so much, but you need the work. So it really takes discipline, I think, to do what you're doing. But it's very, like I said in the opening there, it's very apparent and admirable to see a message in a way without you really needing to express it in words. It's there in the notes and the music and the vision that you have for the world. It's apparent. So it's really admirable, I think. Was there a life you talk about being interested in people and really from the beginning, and this empathy that you have, that you want to understand people. Was there a particular incident in your life that inspired that empathy? Did something happen growing up or as you're in life that inspired that thought?
I like your question. My answer would be freedom. It's not easy to apply freedom all the time, but I was raised in a time where there was no future. Not I was close to the punk rock, but there was no real thought about what would be our job, how much money, because today it's a real deal. But I was fortunate enough to grow up in a time where I didn't have think, not because I was rich, it's because it was in the mentality of the time. We were doing music, we didn't care about what we would be in the future. And I think this gave me a lot of freedom. And I think that's for a young composer, that's what I would say. Just apply a few moments in your day, apply the freedom. Don't care about the money, the tomorrow. Don't care about how high you're gonna go in this business. Just feel free. And I think to feel free allowed me to do different jobs in my life, to live in different countries, you know, and to meet very different people. And after a while, it happened that my best friends and my friends are the people who are doing the same. They are living in different countries. They speak different languages. They have 2 or 3 cell phones and 2 or 3 social security number. But the thing is that to have this freedom inside is very important, and this freedom allowed you to say yes, to say no, to say I'm changing my life. I'm going to do this because I want to do it. And this part, I think, is very, very important. And people, even in Hollywood, they know me. They know that I have that, and they told me that. And I envy sometime to be in the top 5 composer, and it's happening, you know. And if I look at my where I am today, I'm not missing much. You know, everything is at the right place.
You're happy where you're at.
Yeah,
you're satisfied.
But it's a fight to continue what you want to do. You know, it's not so easy. And people who can have, I'm thinking about composer who can have a lot of success and who have this movie, and I was listening the other day the interview you did with Brian Tyler, which is a friend, and I really liked the moment when he told about what happened in his life and that now he was seeing the job differently, was choosing differently, and I think everybody should be able to choose. This is very important. So it's a risk every day to be able to choose, but it's important to do it.
It's brave. It takes bravery. The story you referenced with Brian, if I remember that part of the conversation, he had a brain tumor and he almost died, and he was in the middle of scoring Nuremberg. And then when he came back, he said, I got to do these other things that are important to me. And I have to, what am I doing? Why was music the natural place for you to start to express your feelings?
Well, it's come very naturally at a very early age. I was 5 or 6 when I started to do music because it was part of my education. With my mother was like, okay, kids needs to do this, and this, and including one was music. So it was the education things, not a artistic thing. It happened that my first teacher was he was blind, and he was a piano player, and we learned music with a very gentle and soft atmosphere, you know, and it was great. Later with the conservatory, it was much more brutal, you know, but it came very naturally. So it was like the thing is I had a good ear, so even I wasn't so good at the conservatory, I could reproduce some tunes. So at the time, reproduce some tunes was not well seen because you had to do what was on the score. But my ear kind of saved me. And so when I jumped to other instrument later, and still today, I sometimes start a project where I don't want to know where I am technically. I work on the technical part later, but the chords I'm starting with, the note I'm starting with, I don't care. I don't want to know. I just start with something, and little by little I put the technique into that, of course.
What
But
is music?
music was always there, and when I was I remember when I was 14, 15, I was quite good at drawing, and my drawing teacher planned meet my parents and say you should do a school, and my parents refused. So it was okay. They refused. They was making decision for me at the time. But then after that, I really jumped into music. And I tell you another necessity. I didn't have money, so my only way to make a little money was to play guitar. And that's how I play guitar. So and I created a band, and at 20, around 20, I have my 50 minutes, 15 minutes, not 50 years, 15 minutes of fame. And I had a band, and I was on TV, and in the 80s, I was on the French TV, French radio, and it was okay until I decided, no, that's not what I want. I want to know music better. So I went back to study music for almost 10 years. It took me 10 years from the moment I decide to go back to study to the moment I released my first orchestral for a film score.
That's pretty cool. So what when when you had to pay for your lessons or pay for music when you were playing guitar, what did you use that money on? How'd you use that to get to this 15 seconds of fame or 15 minutes of fame?
Well, with what I was making with my almost pocket money, with what I was doing with the guitar, I bought guitars.
Guitar.
Okay. Of course.
When did you get your first piano?
Well, I get my first piano, I think I was 17 or 18. My parents was very happy I was going back to the conservatory and play with classical piano. So I have a half-size piano in my room, which was taking all the space. My bed was under the piano. And it was a Pleyel, which is a French brand. And that's how I get my piano. But more importantly, maybe that's how I get my first guitar. And it was a friend at school who said, I'm playing bass now, so you can take my first guitar. And he gave me his first guitar. And that changed a lot of things.
Changed everything. And did your parents eventually come around and really support?
No, not at all. No. It was having the poster of Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin in my room was not welcome at all.
No.
At all. And when I brought my first 100 watts amplifier, which I still have, it was a war. It was a war. So I have to fight to get there, and I don't blame them at all. I don't blame them. We don't have the same codes, but today I have my own codes.
Yeah, parents, they want what they think is best for you. So, and then they've probably, a lot of their opinions are based on experience and how hard the world is. Speaking of that, and that you're such a champion of humanity and love in the world through your music. What have you learned? What have you come to understand through this lifelong examination of humanity and trying to understand people? have you come to understand anything either through music or just
It's
personally?
it's a great question. It's I learned to listen more.
Mm.
I learned to less to. I have an opinion, a strong opinion of on a lot of things. And if we talk more than half an hour, it's going to pop up, you know. But
Are
I
you on your
learned to
best
listen.
behavior right now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but I learned to I learned to listen more, and I think that's the best way to do it, is to listen. And they are amazing human being. There are amazing people around, you know,
Mhm.
and I'm glad I'm meeting them. They are some are my friends, and you know, or my family, and so it's yeah, it's to listen and to also I tend to sometimes also listen as an ethnologist. Like it's not the way I want to go, but sometimes I listen because I'm observing the
Mhm.
people, you know. So that's I guess that's what you get after 50 years, you know.
Yeah. Wisdom, wisdom. Well, speaking of that, I mean, speaking of friends, you've got friends globally because you've got this following that is pretty incredible. Your music and your filmmaking resonates, and your writing, it all resonates deeply. And you've got this is something I want the listeners to really understand. You've got really dedicated listeners and cinephiles, and they've even been referred to almost as cult-like in their dedication to you. They champion your music, they share your music, they share it in their communities. They follow you, they follow your work uh, very thoughtfully. They appreciate what you are putting out there, what you stand for. Um, they're kind of compared to like when there's a director like let's say a Quentin Tarantino or someone that or a Scorsese or so. It's like you are that to them, or great albums like you mentioned Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd. um, you're a niche cinematic composer, and what in your opinion, what is it that attracts them to your work? Have you thought much about that?
Oh, I think it's not. I mean, it when you're doing a film score. If I'm talking about film score, um, it's your associate with a film,
Mm-hmm.
and the film also has something extraordinary that also carry the people, you know, and that's a good part of doing film score. You're not alone. And for example, I'm very close friend with a director of Samsara. We did 10 movies together. We are talking about we were on texting 10 minutes before the show to about the release of his next film, etc., etc. So it's a band effect.
Mm-hmm.
I would be I truly believe in the band effect. I think yes, you have to define yourself as or show up yourself as an individual, but it's a band effect. I mean, I always refer to the Rolling Stone uh, by themselves, which they are good, but together they are amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think when you work with a team, with a director, sometimes few producers, you get this band effect, and this takes you to another level. And I think I, I always learn from the band. I always learn from the director. And I was lucky enough to have to meet great directors who push me, who put me on my music on another level. So I think if people like to listen to my soundtrack, it's also because they like the movie. You know, if I can if I can say so. But there is another reason I discovered very late. And when I did 4 feature 4 features, three fiction and 1 documentary, and a couple of documentaries. I learned a lot by doing this. First of all, I learned to become a much better composer, to know where is my place in all the work on the movie. Where's the music? Where's the composer? I know that much better now, and I think I treat the directors much better because of this now. Well, like, I don't call every day, say, "Oh, did you listen? Did you listen? Did you?" No, I know I need to give them time, and I'm not jumping on them every 2 days.
Mhm.
It's a complex mental operation, I would say, but it took me a lot of time to understand that, first of all, I was a storyteller, and music is part of the storytelling of a film. So you have 5 or 6 veins around the movie, which is one is for the light, one is for the actors, one is for the script, one is for the director, one is for the music. Let's put it this way, and this interact to create a storytelling, and it took me a long time. And after I was a director, I direct a few films. I say, yes, I'm a storyteller. First of all, I'm a storyteller. I'm a composer, maybe, but some would say filmmaker, but I would say storyteller. I'm a storyteller. So my film are telling a story, good or bad, or badly, or I can write a book, I can compose a music, but I think what the people like inside that is I'm telling a story. And it's not, nowadays, doing incredible music is very difficult. Everything was done. Everything, you can be creative, but you're creative inside something. And I had to create my own writing. I have to do something on the side. Oh, traditional instrument. Oh, yeah, playing this shakuhachi flute from Japan. Okay, I can put strings under it. But what if we put some percussion from North America, and do this mix, and this mix become a story, and of course you're part of the story of the film. So I think even when I worked on the album of the band, I'm telling a story. I'm so I think that's a story where people can find themselves too, inside that
Relate.
story. Yeah. So you have the
No,
story
you
of the film, the story of your music, and this is what works on people. Yeah.
You really are. Think about what you do when you have to, you're watching a film, and if anyone has ever been in an editing bay or wherever you score the film, it's flat, right? I mean, it needs the music, and when the music, what you do is you're feeling the emotional storytelling. You're filling in the emotional storytelling. Really, you're bringing
Yeah.
those characters to an audience. You're making them 3-dimensional. You're making them come to life, because now we're connecting with a flat screen, 2-dimensional, and the music is now making us feel what the character's feeling. So it's really such a beautiful thing that you do, your art. I like the idea of like a sonic signature. What's your sonic signature, Cyril? How would you describe it if someone
Well,
had never heard you before?
yeah, I'm doing a lot of experiences. So when I'm not doing film score, I'm doing solo album, or sometime I was lucky enough to do a couple of movies, independent movies. So I'm in the moment in terms of music, and
Mhm.
it goes with what I'm listening. I mean, the algorithm can't pick me up because I'm listening to so many different things, you know. So I like to fill gaps in my music life or in my life. I like to say, okay, a long time ago I say, oh, I want to do. I never done string quartet. Let's do an album. So I did an album of string quartet. And piano solo, I never did that. Let's do this. And then I did orchestra with jungle loops, you know, like in the end of the 90s, etc., etc. So I created. I try to create every time something that I'm missing, you know. And I was missing. This is I was talking about the band. It was just released, so I wanted to do something a little bit more with rhythm, a little bit more fun, a little bit more also free. I was a guitar player, so I wanted to go back to play guitar. So I did an album. And now it's out. And so my sonic signature is very difficult. I have one that we stick to my skin. It's a main theme of Samsara for sure.
Yeah,
that's the main one. Like Rocky for Carol Connors, you know.
right.
Uh,
Well,
but
I'm sorry to pin you. I know that's probably not even a great question because you are constantly evolving, right? And you're constantly searching out new sounds and reinventing your sound. So I don't know. I apologize for the question because that really is hard to. I'm sure for you, someone so creative as you, to put it into that little definition. So let's take a quick break here. A fascinating conversation. I'm really loving this. Let's listen to Pema's theme, music from the film Samsara. And we'll be right back with more Cyril Morin.